Have you ever wondered exactly how to attract the high value men that everyone talks about? Isn't it strange how people mention them all the time, but you seem to only be able to attract low value men into your life? What if I told you it's actually because your strategy has been all wrong? Don't worry, on today's live show, we're going to be discussing how to attract a high value man with money. That way, you know the exact detailed strategy to get the man of your dreams gushing over you. So first things first, you're going to need to stand out from the crowd. Okay, this is very important. In fact, it's so important. What we're going to do to illustrate to you how important this is we're going to hop right into our Players Club classroom. High value man here. Okay, this is high value man. He's got hair, right? He's got a big smile on his face because he's nice and rich. So this is high value man. Now, I want you to understand something, okay? Because he's a high value man, he has things like resources. He's obviously got money, like we mentioned here. What happens because he's got resources, money, and access? That means that a lot of women want him. Here is the crowd. All of these women here, they're all looking at him and they want to get with high value man because he has money and access. He can take care of you. He can, spend that money on you. He can provide you with shelter. He can provide you with a great life. He can take you on vacations. So this is the crowd that you're essentially competing against for the high value man. They all want high value man, right? They all want this man. Because they all want him, they're all going to do the absolute most required of them to get this man. They're going to say yes to everything. What ends up happening to this high value man? He ends up experiencing all of these girls in the crowd the same way. They're all beautiful. They all look gorgeous. They're all amazing. And they all say yes to absolutely anything he could ask for. He wants to sleep with them on the first night. They say yes. He wants to invite them over for Netflix without any effort. They say yes because he lives in a mansion. The reason I want to call it standing out from the crowd is if you know and understand how every other woman is going to be presenting themselves to this man. And you're thinking in your mind, I want to be the woman that he actually pursues. Then you have to be thinking, how can I actually stand out and be different from everything that he sees? Because the reality of it is, if you end up presenting yourself the exact same way as all of these other women in the crowd, he's only going to ever perceive you the same way that he perceives all these other women. So we can call this here perception. So this is the man's perception of the crowd. They say yes to everything because they want him and they all want to be with him. Now his perception of them is all the same. They all fit into the same box because they might have slightly different looks. They're all beautiful. They all kind of talk the same. They all kind of act the same. They all kind of respond to him the exact same because all of them want the same thing from him, which is his access and his resources. You don't want to be the crowd. If you fall into all of the same aspects that this crowd does, you're going to be looked at the exact same as all the other girls. It will become impossible to differentiate you from every other girl he's going to meet that he's met before. If you want to be memorable to someone and you want to stand out in their mind, you actively have to be aware of what they're seeing on a regular basis and be the opposite of that. In fact, the more of the polar opposite you are of that, the better. Because that means it makes it even easier for you to be memorable in their mind because they don't come across people like you ever. They don't see people like you ever, and they never meet women like you ever. Now, in the middle of the crowd, there's you. We got you here. You're a beautiful hourglass figure. This is you. Now, what you want to do is you want to be separate from this crowd. You don't want this crowd to be associated with you in any way, shape, or form. You want his perception of you to be totally different, right? We'll say, okay? So you want to understand that if all of these girls in the crowd are saying yes to everything, what do you think you should be saying a lot of yourself if you want to be the polar opposite of them? You're saying no. No should be one of your favorite words in your vocabulary because yes is the favorite word of the entire crowd. And we don't want you to be like the entire crowd. See, the high value men are used to hearing yes a lot because they're willing to put aside all of their own self-respect, all of their own values, all of their own boundaries so that this one high value man will like them. So women eventually get nervy. They get nervous that this high value man won't like me if I tell him no. If I set boundaries, he'll go find another girl. If I say no to things, he'll go find another girl. If I'm too difficult with things, he'll go find another girl. So what do all of those women end up doing? They end up, like Melita just said, they end up being the fun girls that say yes to everything, hoping that this high value man in the process of saying yes to everything will end up liking them. I need to make this very clear to you. In the process of you standing out from the crowd, you're going to rub some of these high value men the wrong way because it's uncomfortable for them to approach you and not get what they want from you instantly. Here's the thing though, for some high value men, this proposition will be so uncomfortable that they're just going to say, I don't want to do this. I'm just going to go back to the girls that say yes. There will also be some high value men that approach you. And when you say no to them and you stand out from the crowd, he's going to say, that girl's a little bit different. That woman has something to her. Now, number 2 is to be strategic, but unassuming. Let's say you're on a date with a high value man, however you want to describe it. Being strategic, but being unassuming is about understanding I am trying to present myself a particular way. Why? Because I want to elicit a particular response from him. We don't need to let him in on what we're trying to do here. We just need to make it seem like everything is working together and happening in this way, in a way that I don't even understand. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. I don't know why you find me so fascinating. I don't know why you want to spend all your time with me. I don't know what it is about me that you find so magnetic. That's what makes the magic of being so magnetic to men feel like it's magic. Feel like it's just something about you because they don't realize that you're strategically doing things to make them more interested in you. Asking them questions or making yourself the most fascinating and desirable version of yourself that they become so enchanted and interested in you. They just think it's something about you. And you're like, oh, maybe it is. Could you tell me what it is? He's like, I don't know. I just think about you every day. I just think about you every second. One of the best ways to enchant men, even the high value men, is to make yourself seem as if you're so intensely fascinated with them and everything that they do in person. There is something so very powerful because when they feel like the most fascinating person on earth, they're going to be telling you about everything they're interested in, everything they've been doing all day. They're going to spill everything about their life. We love, as human beings, to talk about ourselves. That's why we pay for that service. We pay for therapy to talk about me. I don't go to therapy to talk about you. I don't want to hear about your life. Your life is irrelevant to me. All of those people that are charismatic, that are so outgoing, that are people persons, all of those people know how to make people feel comfortable, know how to make people feel engaged. How do you engage people? By talking about them, not sitting here and sitting around talking extensively about me. Ha ha, I'm the most interesting person ever. Ha ha, my life's so interesting. Ha ha, I'm so amazing. Ha ha, my life, my life, my life. Eventually you're going to be like, okay, I get it. But like, what about me? But the moment I start asking about you, the moment I start talking about you, the moment I start showing interest in you, now you're like, well, this is quite an interesting if you want to hear more, I can tell you more. Please tell me more. Please explain to me more. Please describe to me more. I can't get enough of how interesting you are. When you do this, guys are going to become really fascinated with you and want to tell you more and talk to you more, whether it be about their career, the things that they're doing. A lot of high value men, obviously they're going to be doing a lot throughout the day and throughout their week. So majority of what they discuss is probably going to have to do with their work and their career and their passions. So for example, if this high value man is the CEO of a restaurant chain, a lot of his day or a lot of his time is going to be spent managing the restaurant, making sure things are done, hiring people. A lot of his stories and the things that he talks about as it relates to his day and the things that he's doing is going to have to do with managing his business, managing the restaurant, doing this and doing that. You want to be very keen on making him feel like this is the most interesting and fascinating part about him. So if you can get him yapping about the thing that he spends the most time doing, he's going to be yapping endlessly. He feels more drawn to you. He feels more fascinated with you. He feels like the conversation is more intriguing. How many women might come into his life and ask about him and ask about what he's doing and ask about how this works? So if the crowd is here of all these other women and they're looking at his money, majority of these women are quite uninteresting. Because all they do is sit around, say yes to everything, don't really ask any questions because their interest isn't really in the man. Their interest isn't really in the person. Their interest is more in the access and in the resources. All of this makes them quite boring. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much money and resources he has as a man, he still wants to feel like a human being. And he still seeks what we call emotional connection. So if you are coming into a relationship with a high value man and all of your focus is on his money and on his resources, that's going to show in your energy and your aura and what you output. He's going to notice that because it's going to be the same energy that the rest of the crowd gives him. And he's going to realize you're just like everyone else. I don't feel drawn to you. I don't feel fascinated by you. I don't feel like the time we spend together is special at all because I just feel like you're just a meat suit that looks good and is aesthetically pleasing. There's not much else to you. Men begin to say to themselves, why bother doing anything special for any of these girls in the crowd when none of them really care about me in the first place? The high value men are seeking the most emotional connection. Why? Because they receive the least emotional connection. The entire crowd is focused on their money. The entire crowd, how does the entire crowd approach him? Solely focused on what he can do for them monetarily, financially, and based on his resources. They don't ask any other questions aside from that. They're not curious about his life aside from that. And they don't want to know about his experiences or what he goes through aside from that. Number 3 is we want to talk about the location. What you need to do is not focus on going to a country club or going to a bar in a rich neighborhood or going to a restaurant in a rich neighborhood or any of those silly things that most people have been telling you. By the time you start doing things or going places solely to meet high value men, this is what's going to happen. And so I'm going to go to the country club. I'm going to go and get me a couple of drinks and I'm going to hang out there so I can meet some high value men. You're going to get all dressed up. You're going to wear like a red dress because you heard somewhere that wearing red dresses is the best type of dress. You're going to put on red lipstick because you heard somewhere that putting on red lipstick makes you more noticeable and that's what guys are going to want and things like that. So now you're sat down at the country club that you never go to. I want you, when attracting high value men, to be less focused on going to a country club or a cocktail bar or any of that silly stuff. Why? Because you're going to eventually venture so far out into being someone that you're not and living a life that you don't regularly live. By the time a high value man does come and sit down with you at that country club and you're wearing a different type of lipstick, a different type of dress, a different type of hairstyle, you're going to feel so unauthentic to yourself. That energy is actually going to be seeping through your pores and you're going to have a lot of nervous and insecure energy because you don't feel secure in yourself. You don't even feel like you're being you. You feel like you're putting on a character. So what are you going to do? You're going to talk like you're putting on a character. You're going to laugh like you're putting on a character. Everything you do is going to seem inauthentic in the way that it comes out and the way that it comes across. So what is he going to perceive you as? He's going to be like, this girl's kind of weird. Seems like she's not being herself. It just doesn't seem authentic to her. You're thinking in your mind, what, can men really notice that? Yes, People can feel that from you. People can feel when you're being inauthentic to yourself, when you're putting up a front to try to present yourself as someone who you're not. What's going to happen is you're going to leave that house with no confidence in yourself and how you look or how you presented yourself. Because you don't have that confidence in yourself, all of your value is going to be placed on whether or not men approach you at that cocktail bar or at that country club. You want to know why that's horrible? As time is passing and as the clock is ticking and you're sitting at that cocktail bar or at that country club and nobody has yet approached you, your confidence is going to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle because all of your focus is on, I did all of this and dressed myself in all this dresses and did my makeup all of this way so that a man would recognize me. And as time is going on and men don't recognize me, I start to feel like garbage. I feel like I'm worthless and that no man ever wants me. Why? Because you walked out of that house not being yourself. So you needed the men to validate you, that what you decided to do, how you decided to throw on a whole different aesthetic on you to be someone that you're not, is validated in the fact that the men want you, because that's what you're doing it for. You're going to become so desperate and so needy. Even if a man does approach you, you're going to be like, oh my God, I wore this red dress and I wore this makeup and I did this lipstick and I did my hair this way so that you would like me and so that you would want me. So as we're having this conversation, please, are you going to ask for my number? Please. Are you going to ask me on a date? Please. Are you going to tell me that I'm beautiful and I'm pretty? And are you going to tell me that you want to make me? Or please. I literally bought this dress cost $300 and I wore it literally so someone like you would approach me at this bar and we're having a conversation and 5 minutes has went by and you haven't yet said that you want to marry me and you haven't yet said that you want to take me on a date, and it just makes me feel like I'm so worth it. Your mind is going to explode. I don't want you there mentally. For the most part, you can meet a high value man anywhere because they also have interests and hobbies. And every time you step outside of your house, you have an opportunity to meet a man you never expected to meet. I would rather you focus on going somewhere that you enjoy going, dressing in a way that you feel confident and secure dressing, that you think actually represents you, and just go there. You could meet someone on your way there. You can meet someone in the parking lot there. You can meet someone on your way back. You can meet someone at the grocery store from coming back from that place that you were going. There is so many opportunities for you to meet a high value man, or just, we'll even call high value man just an amazing man, the type of man that you're looking for. Playing into their nature is number 4. So what I want you to understand about playing into a high value man's nature, all throughout the life of a quote unquote high value man, if he has gotten to heights in his life that a lot of people haven't reached, he has been very focused in one specified area in his life. That's required a lot of sacrifice. That's required a lot of blood, sweat, tears, and focus. They're very, very accustomed to doing something hard to getting the result that they want. They're not immune to the idea of working for something, knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and they'll eventually get something that's really valuable if they work for it. Those type of men are really good to have in your life or to be dating, because those type of men don't get easily discouraged at the first sign of inconvenience. Microwave men are the ones that get discouraged so easily. Why? Because they want it quick, easy, painless. They want you to be spread open for them by the time they even sit down with you on the first date. Now, the men who are high value, they usually are able to understand how to actually pursue something that they want because they've been doing that in their real everyday life. What I want you to start doing is understanding that the power of saying no to men who are high value is so important, and understanding not just saying no in general, but understanding how to give them a strategic no that feels like it's no, but you just need to work harder to turn it into a yes. Let's just say, for the sake of example, a high value man approaches you at Whole Foods. He's like, hey, I think that you're really beautiful, and I think that I like your vibe and I like your aesthetic, and I would love to get to know you more. I can get your number and maybe take you out on a date sometime. So this is a way to say a strategic no that makes him feel like he has to work harder for it. So then you can say something like, to be honest, I'm single, but I'm only looking to get into like a really serious relationship. I'm not looking for a casual kind of fling. So what does he immediately think? Oh, what? No. don't tell me no, don't deny me. I actually want to take this serious. I think you're so beautiful. I promise you, if I get your number, we're going to go on a really nice date. I have something that I think you'll really enjoy, and I would love to take you there and show you this thing. So you just said no to him to get to him, allowing him to have your number, but you said no in a way where it's like, oh, I'm saying no because I'm only looking for something serious. My assumption is you're probably just looking for something unserious, and I don't have time for that. So you essentially said no, but it can be yes if you're serious about this. So now what does he think? Oh, let me adjust myself and make sure she knows how serious this is to me. When you start meeting high value men, you'll start to realize that presenting yourself in a particular way and playing into the nature of a high value man where they're already used to working hard for things that they want is good. And those men are already accustomed to going for what they want. So when you tell them no, they're not thinking in their mind, oh, you told me no, so I'm going to be angry now and I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. See, when you're good at telling men no in a way where it's like, no, but you can work harder and turn it into a yes, they start saying to themselves, oh, okay, so then I'll just work harder and turn it into a yes. You're clearly not someone who's just going to say yes to my first offer to you because I seem to be a high value man. You actually want me to work for it. The men who are used to working hard for things enjoy meeting women that they have to work hard for. Now, I'm talking about the men who actually want commitment, because there are also quote unquote high value men who aren't looking for any sort of commitment, and they have their money and resources, but they just want to be single forever. But the high value men who are actually seeking commitment and actually do want to commit to someone, they enjoy the process of you not making it so easy for them because they have a lot of value, quote unquote. But what I essentially mean is you want to challenge high value men to do more, because you're playing into the nature that already exists within them, that they're used to doing more to get more out of life. They're used to doing the hard thing of making sure that they sacrifice, making sure that they invest their time, their energy, their blood, sweat, and tears to get an end result. That's already in their nature, which is why they are where they are in life, assuming that they're somewhat self-made and didn't just get everything handed to them. And so by the time you come into their life, you actually represent what they're used to dealing with in their everyday life, in their career, right? They're used to working for things that have a lot of value. So when you come along in their life and they want you, or they approach you and show some interest in you, and they feel it's necessary to work a little bit harder for you to get more access to you, you fit in line perfectly with his already existing nature. Ironically, when a man is used to working hard for things to get more out of life and he meets a woman who is the opposite of that, it's the opposite of his natural nature, which is to work hard for something and invest in something and build something. And so he ends up not paying much mind or much attention to those women because they're the exact opposite of everything that he represents in his life. Men who are used to being able to work for things that they want have no problem working for a woman they want, especially when they're the ones approaching you. You want to use that to your advantage and never let hold of that grip when a guy is approaching you because he wants something from you, whether it be your number, whether it be to take you on a date or get to know you or whatever it may be. Number 5 is going to be confidence candies. I want you to also be thinking about when you're attracting high value men, you constantly need to be feeding yourself confidence candies. What I mean by that is you need to start doing things that make you confident within yourself and give you confidence or make you feel more comfortable. Start hanging out in places that you enjoy hanging out in, because you're going to have more confidence and be more secure and more happy within yourself being in somewhere in an environment that you enjoy. When you go to a country club that you're unfamiliar with, that you never spend time in, you're going to be so uncomfortable. What's that going to lead to? Insecurity and a lack of confidence. When you dress in a dress that you never regularly wear, what's that going to lead to? Insecurity and a lack of confidence. When you start doing all these things that aren't you and don't represent you, the human being, you're going to lead yourself to a lack of confidence and insecurity. What are the men going to receive from you? They're going to receive that insecurity. They're going to receive that lack of confidence. And subsequently, they're going to be less attracted to you because of that lack of confidence and because of that insecurity. We want you to be able to be desirable and attractive to those men when they meet you. We want you to have a smile on your face. We want you to be genuine. And we want you to be able to look in the mirror and be like, damn, I'm that girl. okay? And actually believe that, because when you go out and you're meeting men in your environments that you feel comfortable in and you're happy in, you're gonna give off so much confidence that those men are gonna say, oh, I want this type of girl. This is the type of woman that I'm attracted to. This is the type of woman that I want to get to know more about. That's the same time where guys will start saying there's just something about you that's so magnetic. You're going to notice that when you take care of your confidence candies and you feed yourself a lot of confidence in all these different ways, you become way better at making yourself seem interested and fascinated. And you become way better at knowing that you're charming people. When you start trying to go out and enchant people and be charismatic with people, and to get people talking to you, you're going to feel more charming. And when you feel more charming, you become more charming. I don't know if any of you have ever had this happen to you when you're talking to someone and you're like, I just know that I'm like acing it all. I know that when you're talking to me, you're so into this conversation. You're so locked into this conversation. I got you. I got you wrapped around my finger. It's like a zone that you get into when you're like, I'm there. And I know that the confidence I'm exuding, the way I'm presenting myself is so attractive to you that I can actually feel your attraction to me while we're having this conversation. Your questions are going to become more intriguing. The way you present yourself and the way you ask them are going to become more intriguing. The whole conversation is going to feel more intriguing, and you're going to feel like you're really building something and sharing some sort of connection here with that person. And remember, like we talked about earlier, what are the high value men seeking the most of? Emotional connection. Not a connection with their wallet, not a connection with their resources, emotional connection, because that's what they're getting the least of.